First thing is a request for bill introductions. Anybody have any bill introductions? I do. Wildlife and Parks, the number is RS 1017. It's got work on judging fish populations in the state. I don't know what kind of a bill that's going to be, but we'll find out. Any objections to the introduction? Seeing none, the bill is introduced. All right, committee, we'll get right with it. Our guests today are the commodity groups here to give us a report on the commissions. And we'll start with Bob Hazelwood, Kansas Soybean Association. Welcome to the committee.
So hopefully we've been every month so far this fiscal year, we've collected a record number for that, for our collections. And whether we'll continue that pace, but I think we've collected almost 2/3 of our anticipated collections in the first 6 months of the year. So we felt pretty good about that. I think in handouts that you've got, whether electronically, I think there's a copy of our marketing plan. International market development's is a priority for the commission. Our top buyers for whole beans in the last have been China, Mexico, and Egypt. And our top buyers for meal have been the Philippines, Mexico, and Colombia. And our top buyers for the oil has been South Korea, Mexico, and the Dominican Republic. We partner with the U.S. Soybean Export Council to help promote these products. We work in conjunction with them to have special projects we invite trade groups over, or have in the past. Some have been more virtual here lately, but we, work with trade groups from these countries, and they come into the International Groans Program up at K-State to have some learning facilities up there, and they come out and tour farms. And I've been fortunate to host many different groups over the last several years from some of these countries. We also work with the Soy Transportation Coalition. This is another one of our industry partners that their work is to try to improve the transportation infrastructure across the U.S. A lot of their work is just into projects or reports to show what economic development be done if certain infrastructure projects are maintained or developed. Then they also help to work on things to help improve the commodity flow within our own state. As far as production research, a lot of that is done through Kansas State University. we try to work with weed control, fertilization, variety developments and such. That's the work that we do with K-State. We also do work with Pittsburgh State for alternate uses for soybeans. We've also got one of the researchers at Pittsburgh State has developed a process for a sunscreen using soybean oil, and he's real close to getting that patent on that. And so if he was fortunate to do that and get it commercially market, the Soybean Commission would also benefit from that. But one of the biggest organizations that we do work with on alternate uses is the National Biodiesel Board. And we are fortunate, as many of you know, that we have the godfather of biodiesel in the room with us. Our present CEO, Kenlon Johannes. And Kenlon was honored this past year with had the award that the National Biodiesel Board has an award every year called the Pioneer Award, but they just recently named it in his honor. So it's a Kenlon Johannes Pioneer Award. So we feel quite proud for him, and hopefully that his name was going to live on forever now. So, but the Biodiesel Board has done a lot of work, and the last figure that studies have shown that because of biodiesel, and I'm going to look around at my staff, I think it's 80 cents a bushel, they think. Is that correct? 80 cents a bushel, they figure that's been added to the value of soybeans just through the use of biodiesel alone. So, and animal agriculture is another big user of soybeans. About 97% of the soybean meal is used in animal feed. So because of that factor, we do work with the U.S. Meat Export Federation, USA Poultry and Egg Export Council, and the Soy Aquaculture Alliance. And these are all organizations to promote their products, whether it's meat, poultry, fish, eggs, into other foreign markets. And we feel that by doing this, that that'll also promote the use of soybeans. Education efforts we work with, we have our own consumer media specialist, Charlene Patton, and she does soy food work on many of the network television stations across the state. We had been doing summer soybean science up at K-State. This is where they bring teachers in and teach them to use soybean and the process the soybeans go through into some of their teaching materials. We've done that for several years. This past summer, we were not, because of the COVID, we did not do that program, but hopefully it'll be on for the next year. We also work with the Kansas Corn Commission during Common Ground. Was part of the reasons we get, one of the things they do is a moms talking to moms. We get farm moms talking to other moms to show them the advantages of the agricultural system and the healthiness of our foods that we produce. The Kansas Soybean Commission also provides relevant and valuable news through radio and television programs. You can catch the soybean update on 7 radio stations. And Ag AM in Kansas is on Facebook. And twice a month, the Kansas Ag Report segment sponsored by the Soybean Checkoff appears on television. And we recently began a new segment. It's called Ag Etc. We also produce a Soy Notes newsletter. It appears in the High Plains Journal and the Kansas Farmer Magazine 3 times a year to provide a printed format for people who don't have the other ways of communicating available to them. This last year, we also have sponsored for several years the yield contest. And this last year, we have set a new record of 114 bushels per acre on soybeans. It's from Reno County farmer Sam Miller. the yield contest is usually a 5-acre measured acre field within a field, and that's where they get the yield. But what I've heard is that Mr. Miller stated that the whole field averaged over 100, and so it wasn't just the 1-acre tract or 5-acre tract. He had the whole field, and I can't tell you how large a field it was, but it was way bigger than 5 acres. So, we do that. We're hoping to create a little competition, and also that when farmers get to talking to each other, they kind of learn from each other what they're doing and new tricks to help them increase their own yields, which will increase their bottom line. So, the Kansas Soybean Commission we run and have an audit every year, and enclosed in your information is the last audit. And also every 5 years, the United Soybean Board, which is a national organization above us, they come in and audit us every 5 years to make sure that we are doing everything according to the act and the order that the federal regulations that govern us. So, if there are a moment for questions.
The end to do questions. Got to make sure I get everybody's reports in. We have
Thank you.
more to go. Thank you very much. Next, we have Kent Moore for Kansas Corn. That's remote. Let's see.
Yeah,
Kent,
I'm here.
Are you hear us?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you
There he
hear
is.
me? Yeah.
Let's speak up a little bit.
Okay, can do
Welcome
that.
to the committee, Kent.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this morning. I am Kent Moore. I'm chairman of the Kansas Corn Commission, and I farm in the northwest part of Pratt County. And again, very pleased to be with you this morning. Kansas Corn and Kansas Corn farmers had a good year in 2020. Production-wise, it ranked second only to 2019. Our corn crop for this 2020 crop year amounted to 766 million bushels. And that's a good crop, really good crop, and very fortunate to have a good production year. Obviously 2020 and here at the start of 2021 has definitely changed the way we go about business in certain aspects of our lives, but I was very pleased that Kansas Corn was able to adapt to the challenges that COVID placed on our organization. One of the things we did immediately after COVID started was we had a couple of webinars for our producers, how to navigate through the PPP program, how to navigate through the economic injury and disaster program. Another thing that we were able to do through some of the programs that were available due to COVID relief, part of the process was the USDA provided some funding for higher blends infrastructure improvements. So we were able to help 4 retailers in 9 locations successfully apply for those federal funds that they needed to be able to upgrade their equipment to distribute higher ethanol blends. So I think it was fairly apparent that our staff there at Kansas Corn recognized the need to help producers figure out how things were going to change a little bit through COVID. And we're very pleased that that we were able to provide some of that to our membership and to our ethanol suppliers and retailers that are so important in moving ethanol. One that obviously was different. A lot of times, Kansas Corn will host international trade meetings. Obviously, for the past year, that's been put on hold. Another way in which Kansas Corn adapted was U.S. Grains Council set up virtual field days and field tours, and then how we did that was Kansas Corn staff, for instance, came out to my farm at the very first part of this fall harvest. We shot a lot of video of combine operation and on-farm grain storage, and a very good explanation of what we were doing and how we were doing it and why we were doing it. We also, in that same time frame, Kansas Corn staff went to Kansas Ethanol at Lyons and their manager there walked through a virtual presentation of what their operation was and how they took the raw commodity and then made that into ethanol and distillers grains, and the importance of highlighting that product of corn. So we put those two things together, and then kind of middle of October, we had the opportunity to present all those things and have a good Zoom type session with a very fairly large international contingent watching us. And, you know, typically when you see a trade team from a country, I mean, you might be talking about, 30 to 40 people kind of max, kind of what fits in a bus. And then, but being able to do it virtually, I think we had close to 100 people involved in watching those segments from my farm and from the ethanol plant to give them a sense of what we were doing and expose them to what Kansas agriculture could do for them. So it was, again, a way that we had to adapt due to the circumstances of that we find ourselves in, but no different than anybody else. I think in any industry, just trying to figure out how to forge ahead and take one foot in front of the other and accomplish their task, whether it was corn, wheat, soybeans, Milo, or trying to sell shoes at the shoe store. It was to figure out how to do it and get it done. Another way that we adapted, I think we've made committee aware. Kansas Corn has dedicated a lot of resources to K through 12 education in the state. We're very, very proud of the promotion that we've and involvement that we've had through our STEM, Kansas Corn STEM educational efforts. So what that has done is, or a little bit of background, we've done a lot of teacher training to try to encourage lessons based on agriculture, based on corn growing, based on ethanol production to be incorporated into the curriculums in our Kansas schools. We've been very, very successful in that. It's grown much more rapidly than we maybe envisioned when we first started it. But there again, COVID threw us a loop. And how did we, and our staff was very successful in converting those lessons that we had provided to those teachers. We converted those to be compatible with an online learning environment. So our staff absolutely put their nose to the grindstone and got that done pretty darn efficiently and pretty effectively. We reached over 50,000 students with those lessons and 1,200 teachers in 2020. The Wichita School District, the largest in the state, they have a district-wide policy of incorporating those Kansas Corn STEM lessons to all second and fifth grade curriculums. So we've had a great relationship with that district. We've got good relationships with other districts. I think we're having a really positive impact in making those teachers and in turn those students have some exposure to Kansas agriculture, Kansas corn, and the importance that our products play in everyday life of an everyday Kansan. We continue to be involved in our collegiate program. That's gone well. Our young farmer program continues to expand. We've had 42 young farmers take advantage of that program as basically leadership training, and that's gone good. It's been a good resource for some young farmers to become more involved. And we don't particularly care whether they become involved in Kansas corn or whatever the case might be. Our goal is to just foster and encourage the next generation of farm leaders to be active and make impact wherever they see fit. Guess I'd give you a little bit of a rundown of our checkoff for this past year. As you know, The Corn Commission collects a 1 cent checkoff at the first point of sale for bushels of corn. Again, you have our audit report. We do get some refund requests. We do honor that, respect that, and understand that that's part of the process. But I would say that our refund rate for 2020 was 8%, and that's low where compared to where we are sometimes in the past. We've been up as high as I think around 12 before. So I think what that really signifies is that I think that Kansas corn and Kansas corn producers, and really all producers of all commodities in the state, understand that checkoff money is an investment in their industry, an investment in making progress, whether it be through research or trade. It's just I think they understand the importance of making that investment in their own future. With that, I'll close and let the next commodity group go. But again, I want to express my appreciation to be able to virtually present this to you today, and hope your day goes well. Thank you so much.
For your report, I appreciate that. And if at the end we have time, we might have a few questions, but so we'll be looking for you on YouTube next year, Ken. Okay, let's go over to Max Jaden from Grain Sorghum Commission. Max?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you today?
Pretty good. Pretty
Good.
good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little choppy there, but go ahead. You're fine.
Okay. Well, I'll just introduce myself. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to speak to the committee. And my name's Max Jaden, and I farm out here west of Clearwater in Sedgwick County. It's a nice, cold, windy day this morning. And I'm the new commissioner for District 6, and it's basically the south central part of the state. It goes, I would say, from Larned to Newton, down to Wellington, and back out to Coldwater. And so I'm the new guy on the team, so to speak. So they're giving me some introduction here and let me speak to the committee. And I have our director here, Jesse McCurry's with me here this morning, and hopefully Adam York is with us, our program director. He's with us as well. And we've also hired, I guess, a summer helper, Sanders Barbie. She's a K-State who's going to help with some various programs and some sustainability issues that we deal with and programs we have. And so she may be watching too, I don't know. But anyway, 2020 was a great year for sorghum in the state of Kansas anyway. And we produced 237 million bushels, according to the USDA sources. And on 2.7 million acres is what was planted. And to give a bit of a perspective, that's 55% of the U.S. sorghum crop this year. So Kansas is the #1 state now, again, for production of sorghum. And our bushels were up 16% from 2019. And we had an 86 bushel average for the state. And that's up a little bit. And but the really big bright spot on that, I checked our local elevator west of Hayesville, the Gavilon elevator, and Milo this morning was $7.07 a bushel, which is something I've never seen. And it's really incredible, and certainly makes growing sorghum an exciting prospect here this year and hopefully for next year. And to kind of give a perspective, our average price for 2020 was $4.26. I don't want to say only $4.26. I thought that was really pretty good, but right now it's $7, and so things look pretty bright on the horizon as price wise, and we can really have a lot to thank on that to exports. And we've already exported, I believe, around 290 million bushels, and China is the #1 buyer of those bushels. And so China has bought almost not quite 70% of the U.S. sorghum crop already. And I was talking with one of the people at the national office on the marketing side, and he said China's already booked more bushels for next year than they did for this year. And so the opportunities look pretty good there for us. And and again, a couple of our other big players, Japan and Mexico, are big buyers, but I don't really understand if they're even buying any right now, because China seems to be buying it all up, and the price has basically gone through the roof. And but the export value for Kansas this past year was over $466 million just for Kansas in this export market. And really what's good for the farm economy, good for the grain producers in the long run, it's good for the state of Kansas. It's good for our legislators, because there'll be some more dollars to work with, hopefully, for them here. And that always helps. And so maybe take the burden off you a little bit as far as worrying about budgets, can help out there. And so, and it's also been great for our commission budget as well, and opens up some more opportunities to fund some things and support some things. And in Kansas, the producers here in Kansas paid 3.4 million bushels in checkoff dollars to the National Checkoff Board. And again, that's over half their funding. And so we're really the big contributor for our organization. And there are 5 producers here in Kansas who sit on that sorghum checkoff board to allocate those dollars, and they allocate the dollars for various states, the various programs, the various commissions in the various states that produce sorghum. And